they can manipulate people, get people to do things just based on that fear and intimidation. It's a reputation that they hold very dear, and they will kill for it.
Jail, be in prison, and he's going to be subject to the close scrutiny of the Mexican Mafia. So at that point, he'll either get a pat on the back for being a loyal Sureño, or he'll be killed.
Picture orchestrating global operations from within the confines of a prison cell, done so masterfully that even the mighty United States Police Department found itself in disarray. This is the astounding tale of one of the most formidable Mexican Mafia factions in history, La M. Today, we embark on an immersive journey into the complex world of La M, unearthing the grim and far-reaching consequences of its actions. Stay tuned, for what unfolds is a story you won't want to overlook. The beginning of La M. In 1957, something happened all across the Los Angeles streets that changed the city forever. It was a group of Mexican-American street gangs that took over the criminal circle of the town. They weren't Mexicans, they were Mexican-Americans. Violence was the only answer for these people. They had missed many opportunities in the world of dreams because of their Latin American heritage, and they chose the wrong path to get it back. As more and more members began getting arrested for street crimes, they were sent to the Gladiator School in California. It was a correctional facility known for its toughness over young offenders, and here is where La M was truly founded. It all started back in the early 1900s, when an influx of Mexican immigrants fled prosecution in their home country and found their way into California, more specifically Los Angeles. Although they remained on the outskirts of town, they were still the most marginalized ethnic group in the multicultural LA society. They were maltreated in every way possible. They were economically downtrodden and poorly treated. This gave birth to the Cholo Youth. It was a bunch of young Mexican Americans who embraced their heritage and the country they had moved to. They were caught between the Anglo culture of the US and the Latino culture of Mexico. So they made a mixed product out of both and created a whole new identity. Luis Huero Buff Flores. If you would have ever come across Luis Huero Buff Flores, he would not come off as a very intimidating man. He looked rather simple, but you would be a fool to not take him seriously.
Quality, you have the intellect, you have the heart. If you're willing to kill, somebody will sponsor.
When he was arrested and put in the Dual Vocational Institution, or DVI, Luis had bigger plans. He wanted a united front for Hispanics, and that is what he did by recruiting a dozen loyal inmates who would do anything for their Mexican brothers' cause. Flores chose the name Mexican Mafia, inspired by the Italian Mafia, the Black Hands that had ruled the gang culture in his formative years. He chose the name because it signified power and fear. Back in the day, the Black Hand was a symbol that can be associated with the Cosa Nostra, a fish market group of criminals who would often leave the stains of their black hands on the crates. Soon, a black hand mark was synonymous with their activities, and people began to steer clear of the crates with the black hands on them. Huero Buff Flores was inspired by this structured fear and called his gang the Black Hands of Death. He looked for demented and cruel criminals who would commit the most brutal of crimes without a second thought. Soon, a series of gruesome incidents ensued with the Black Hands behind it, like the attack on Ned Lovredovich, an official, who was attacked right in court. Since there was no gang leader, the Black Hands began calling themselves Carnales, or the Brothers.
For those years, all the members that were recruited were leaders of their respective street gangs. They had monumental egos. They were joining with the understanding that there was nobody shot calling. Nobody was going to tell them what to do.
These brothers soon identified as La M, a name that would resonate with all the members of the gang. A gang that would strike fear in the hearts of those who would hear it owing to the illicit activities of the gang. Soon it wasn't just the prison they were commanding. Thanks to Huero Buff Flores, it was the streets. Rodolfo Alvarado Cheyenne Cadena. Born on April 15, 1943, Cadena moved to Bakersfield, where he began to be associated with the Vario Bakers Gang, or VBG. Once in prison, an African-American man tried to kiss him on the cheek to show he could have him anytime he needed. That night, the African-American man was found lifeless, and the prison learned to respect Cadena. This is where Cadena caught the attention of Joe Pegleg Morgan. Together, the two took the Mexican Mafia to new heights. The Shoe War. You might think the formation of two rival gangs and an unending gang war would have a more solid reason, but no, it was a missing pair of shoes. Hector Mad Dog Padilla got attacked because he confronted a La M member who was wearing his shoes. This caused an all-out brawl with Hispanic prison inmates to combine forces and make the rival gang La Nuestra Familia. They came together in 1965, and La M found its match. Soon after many prison riots, La M members were removed from the scene, and this gave La Nuestra members ample opportunity to hire new members. It was 1970 when Alvarado Cheyenne Cadena struck an alliance with George L. Jackson of the Black Guerrilla family. Together, they worked to combine the two astray gangs and had some peace talks. Their vision was to combine the scattered Hispanic population and end the gang wars once and for all. That did not work out very well, but the government took notice of how influential both men were on prisoners. This ended up with George L. Jackson being attacked and losing his life while Cadena was sent on parole. Joe Pegleg Morgan. Cadena owes much of his rise within the Mexican Mafia to his association with Joe Pegleg Morgan. Born on April 10, 1929, Joe Morgan achieved the remarkable distinction of being the first Caucasian man to ascend the ranks of La M. His criminal journey began on a violent note when he took the life of his then-lover's 52-year-old husband, discreetly burying the victim in the hills near their town. Over the subsequent years, Joe Morgan found himself behind bars multiple times due to his involvement in various serious crimes.
With the Mexican Mafia and just about any prison gang, the way you demonstrate your loyalty to your organization, the number one manner of displaying your loyalty is by killing.
During one of his incarcerations, he crossed paths with Cadena, forging a lasting friendship that would significantly elevate his status within the Mexican Mafia as he climbed up the ranks alongside Cadena. The rise of the Mexican Mafia in Los Angeles, California. While Cadena was serving his sentence, Joe Morgan made an alliance with one of the deadliest white gangs at the time, the Aryan Brotherhood. Together, the two gangs wreaked havoc on the city with narcotics flowing from every corner, due to their deep connections with the powerful cartels of the time. While Cadena worked to bring peace between La M and Nuestra Familia, the story was different on the other side. Joe Pegleg Morgan ordered his men to stir the pot, and two Nuestra Familia members lost their lives. This further sealed the bonds between La M and the Aryan brothers, making them strong allies. Cadena met a horrible end in 1972 when he was attacked for making a fool out of Nuestra gang members with his peace talks. By 1975, Joe Morgan had it all covered, and despite the horrid passing of his friend, the gang life was thriving. Jose Fox Landa-Rodriguez, Operation Dirty Thirds, originally from Mexico, was a very influential member of the Mexican Mafia. There isn't much known about his life before he went to prison, but he was a big shot at the LA County Jail for 4 years. As part of his responsibilities, he ran everything from taking the lives of fellow inmates to a steady flow of narcotics. Jose Landa-Rodriguez's involvement unearthed one of the most intricate systems of subordination of the lower-rank inmates to the higher-rank inmates.
You were going to have to pay money. People were going to have to die. They wanted accountability. They made sure that every gang in Los Angeles, they had somebody who was accessible to the Mexican Mafia.
It was referred to as the Dirty Thirds. The lower-rank inmates were forced to submit to higher-ranked ones and pay them a 10% in everything, for basic necessities such as hygiene products and even food sometimes. This also led to the discovery of the attorney named Gabriel Xendaya Chavez. Chavez was a go-between the members. He even communicated with those who were arrested at ADX Florence, which is a nearly impossible task. He helped recover $100,000 from the Mongols Outlaw Motorcycle Club, which was used for all the wrong reasons. Xendaya Chavez later faced charges for his involvement in the Mexican Mafia, like many other facilitators and members. So, what do you think? Is there truly an endgame of the Mexican Mafia? Can they really be contained? Tell us in the comments below. To find out more about gangs and their rivalry, subscribe to Crime Central.